Hi, I'm Candace Gourdain, and this is Fitness and Harmony's Energy to Move, and every body needs to move. So I'm going to talk to you about how the body works just for a minute, and then we'll get started doing things so that you can feel it. So here's the bottom line about yoga. Anyone ever asked you about yoga, don't try to explain it to them. Yoga has to be experienced. It is nothing that you can describe. Words are really fail yoga. If you've ever tried to describe it to someone, you can't. It's not the asanas, the movements that we're doing, and it's not even the prana. It's not even the energy that we're working on. There is an experience of being human, of being in this body together. And there's parts of us that we ignore until we come to yoga. And yeah, I'm kind of joking about the physical parts, that nagging shoulder or that hip, but I also mental and emotional, but there's other things going on in the body. Our heart pumps blood. So let's try this. Let me see. You may have that special talent where you can put two fingers by this wrist bone and find your pulse. That's hard to describe, and there's a little hole sort of there at the edge of the wrist bone, and you might be that kind of person that can find your pulse and you'll feel the bump, 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 bump. Or you may be like most of us and can't really find that. So what I tell people, if you're curious, most of us have a little device that will give us our heartbeat these days, but let's say you want to feel your heart. I would say take two fingers, bring them to the corner of your eye. Now be careful here. Don't poke yourself in the eye. With your head straight, because you're yogis, you know what that means. Slide your fingers straight down. Go into the sort of the side of your neck, so the front of your neck and the side, and push in towards that trachea. You can feel that cartilage there. Maybe you have to push a little bit in and a little bit in and up, and see if you can feel the bump, 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 bump. So keep doing that. Just get used to your heart rate while I tell you what your heart is doing. It's pumping blood, and with such force that if you were to open up an artery, it would go 3 meters away. So it's a lot of force because that blood has to go all the way up to your brain. And when you're standing, it not only has to go down to your feet, it has to come back up from your feet. Not an easy thing to do. We know how hard it is to get up from gravity. So let's try this. Start by rolling the shoulder blades back. So take a shoulder blade, lift it up, roll it back. Take the other one up and roll it back. Now practice spinning the shoulder blades out. I'm doing this with my hands. If you want to do this with your hands, do this with your hands, because it helps me remind myself of how the edges of the shoulder blades spin out and open, and then the points of the shoulder blades spin in and together. So I'm sort of doing this with my hands, and I'm doing this with my shoulder blades. This is a really good thing. I said I got a little bit of a twinge behind my shoulder blade this morning, so I'm getting rid of that little twinge so that I can begin my breathing practice. So we just took our pulse, and we know that the heart moves blood around the body. So it brings life-giving oxygen, but more importantly, almost, is it takes away the waste of respiration and everything else, like carbon dioxide. Hold that there, and then release the arms down. Now, move your head around a little bit. I want you to find what it is for your head to be out of alignment. Now, alignment is simply this magical place where things are straight enough that there's an open channel. So put your head in alignment, whatever that means, so that there's an open channel from your heart. We all know it's in there around kind of the center of the chest, it's close enough, up through, let's call it the front of the throat or the back of the throat, and up into a stem and into the brain. So I want you to pump your breath and your heart and your blood and all that stuff up from your heart, up into your brain. Inhale, spread the crown of the head out. Exhale, soften the shoulders down. Alignment is just this magical, mystical place where your mind is actually in your body. That's all it is. Alignment is when your mind is in your body. Your mind can't go around blockages. Your mind doesn't really turn corners. It flows like a river. So the goal of your practice is to have energy, your mind, awareness, to flow and irrigate the body. the same way a smoothly flowing river irrigates and fertilizes the land. All the elements that are in the earth are in our body in very, very different amounts, but all the elements are in our body. So our body very much is made up of the same thing as the land. Take 2 slow breaths now. Remember, up from the heart, up into the head, it spreads out and then trickles down through the shoulders. And then when you're ready, open your eyes. Let's take one arm across and give it a little bit of a pull. Just sort of pull that arm. And I want you to feel the pressure. When you pull, the skin and the fascia, the connective tissue pulls across into the shoulder. And then spin that arm open and kind of turn it back like you just took something from your hand and you're throwing it back behind your body. Hold that there. We're going to do some inversions and we're going to do some twists today so that we get energy. So I need to describe to you what energy is. Let's go to the other side. Take the other arm across. You may need to stop here. Maybe you can hold on to this forearm and give the arm a little tug and pull. Energy is electricity. It's the exact same stuff that's in the lights. And so there's these special channels and special charged particles called ions around every cell of your body. But it's done through chemicals like phosphates. Let's let the arm spin open and back. Remember, you're taking your hands with thumb down, pinky up, and twisting. Boy, I feel that in that shoulder blade today. So good stretch here. You can take the arm a little bit behind the plane of the body, getting that pectoral stretch as well, but always just a little bit of tension, just a little bit of discomfort, but never any pain. So always back up. Now for energy to go into every cell, remember I just described the electricity and the ions and the phosphate and the chemicals. The cell itself has to move. If it just lays there, only a little bit of that will happen. But if the cell is moving, and it does it because of muscular activity in the body, take that arm down. Now take one arm, kind of crawl it out. I'm on a blanket here, so I had to lean over to get there. Take the other arm out. Now do lean. I'm leaning from my side waist. See, my arm isn't getting any closer to my head. I'm leaning from the side waist. So I'm bending this elbow like my arm is collapsing. And the side waist, one side is collapsing and squeezing. The other side is opening. So I don't have to lift this other arm. I can leave it down and get the same stretch. It's just getting it out of the way. Now, if you can, twist your shoulder, your chest forward. Again, notice my arm's not going anywhere, really. It's just attached to where it was. And then I'm going to ask you to let the arm down. So let's stop holding the arm up. Now let your head tip over. Then twist your face towards the floor. Do 3 slow breaths, the same alignment cue. Even though energy can move in curves and spirals and loops, it can't move past tension and muscular. So muscles turn out to be maybe the most important thing to get energy into the cells of the body. Some of these stretches are going to wind up feeling really good, so you may want to just hold longer. All right, so crawl your way back to center, push up. Let's try that again. Take your other hand, crawl it out. So walk, 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 walk. Hold it there. Take the other arm, if you want to, out. Remember, spin the shoulder blade open, hold. Now lean over so you collapse this elbow that's holding you up, and that lengthens the side waist. That's the point here. Explore more and more. As an instructor, my goal is to encourage you to explore. I can't tell you exactly the anatomy of your individual river. As in yoga, we think of the body as a river, because a river is always changing, always flowing. Now twist. So take the chest and the shoulder forward. Yikes, I really feel that today. And then let this arm down. My goal is to inspire you to explore more and more, to move, So feel. Remember I said yoga must be experienced. I can't explain it. I can't do it. You have to experience it by being present. 3 slow breaths. Some of these poses will feel infinitely meaningful and useful to you. And then some, like the inversions, for some people, those inversions, I just don't get it. And 1. Crawl your way back up. Let's just take a simple twist. So turn the body. I'm going to use this hand. I'm pulling this hand across and I'm pulling. Remember I said I feel something in the back of my shoulder blade today. You may want to take this other hand behind you and push down to push the chest forward. Yeah, that feels good too. So I'll do that too. And hold that twist. We only have 25,000 miles of blood vessels in our bodies. 25,000 miles of blood vessels in our body. And the blood makes a round trip that's from the heart out and back in less than a minute. So blood is just going around your body at this very, very fast pace. But in order for the body to absorb what the blood has to offer, which is everything, the cells need to move and they need to be charged. And that happens because of the chemistry. 3 slow breaths. The more you practice, the brighter the light of your attention. And 1, and release. So take a simple twist. Remember, your hips are rooted down, so maybe take that arm across. Wow. Give it maybe a pull. Maybe some people take that leg out so they can reach it a little bit better. It's always an option. Maybe spin the other arm back and behind you. Press those fingers to the floor and lift the chest up away. So as you push down, rise up. Again and again. Slowly irrigate. So the breath becomes a metaphor for the flow of bioelectrical conversions deep within the cells of the body. So the breath becomes a metaphor, but the breath itself charges us up because the oxygen combines and makes little tiny explosions. But all of those explosions together have more electricity than all of the electricity in your home. So we're really fully charged up. Last breath here. And let that go. Wow. Let's try a supported child's pose. And I really always want to encourage you to support yourself in any and every way that you can. So support it with me. Take a blanket. What I'm going to do is take this blanket. I just took it off my couch, and I'm rolling it up so it looks, like a bolster. You don't have a blanket. Maybe try another mat or a pillow. And I'm going to put it vertical, lengthwise, and then put my chest on it. I'm going to actually turn my head and put my head on it as well. But the point is, I'm going to take a second blanket if you don't mind and make it even higher. So supported child's pose, where my chest is fully supported and I don't have to go all the way deeply into it, is good for when your blood pressure or something in your head isn't right. Now, your blood pressure going up into your head is usually pretty high because of what we just described. It has to overcome gravity. Inversions actually help that, but just be careful. So if we want to balance our hormones and balance the activity of our mind and calm the central nervous system, supported poses. Remember, the more you practice, the more you learn, you experience how to nurture all parts of yourself into an integrated whole. So the body needs to move and to do yoga. Let your arms, they may be hanging forward, but they may be hanging backward. A lot of times that feels so much better for people. Let the arms hang back and behind. I have my legs nice and wide to make room for the blanket, but you may have a really nice long torso and you don't need to widen your knees. Now practice Ujjayi breath. So our head's a little bit down for most of us. Inhale through the nose. Ujjayi, that means vibrate the channel of air through that esophagus, through that trachea. Make those kind of whispery sounds. What inversions do is they stimulate the central nervous system. They also activate the glands, create hormones and get that going. And the glands and the hormones really have to do with regulating how fast the body interacts, but whether things start to happen more and more. Ujjayi. See if you can relax shoulders more. 2 more slow breaths. Begin to make your way up. This is where I'm going to move these blankets out of the way because I want to try coming into Anjaneyasana or low lunge pose. I'm going to grab these blocks and then take one leg and step forward. If I ask you to come into alignment, what I'm asking you to do is find the pose, the asana, where energy flows so that all parts of your body are enlightened. That's all. And that's a combination of the circulatory system, the blood getting there. So if you have a joint that's all compressed and tight, blood won't go through like a hose that's been crimped, for example. Nerves disconnect. They disconnect all the time. They're always just like the branches of a tree. They're always changing and twisting and turning and trying to get light. So that's alignment. And all of those things are open. But then your mind decides to go there. So the street doesn't have to just be open. We have to actually go somewhere. Right now, we're kind of dealing with the arteries and the nerves and the hips, big arteries and hips. When you sit for a long time, like we were just sitting for 20 minutes there. If you sit for a long time, the blood actually doesn't really go down into the legs. When we stand up, about 1.5 pints of blood shoots down into your legs. That's about a fourth or a fifth of your total blood volume. Let's just try moving to the other leg. So standing up is a big deal. It really is. It really does change everything. So when I do a yoga practice, I almost always come up from seated. I don't like to stay in seated too long, and you should too. Get up out of your chair. So when you come into Anjaneyasana, just low lunge pose, we're realigning from leg to hip, hip to spine, spine to, remember that channel up the neck, flooding the brain. When blood is pumped away, it has to come back. And it does that with the help of the muscles, the actual skeletal muscles. There's not special muscles just for that. It's the skeletal muscles that really help that. And the pressure of the heart pumping. So they used to think high blood pressure was good. And I mean, used to, like hundreds of years ago. Because it seems like that would be a good thing, but it's not a good thing. It pushes onto the arterial walls and weakens them. Give this 3 breaths. Don't forget the walls of the back. When I say the walls, I always mean the shoulder blades and the muscles there. Keep widening and spinning those shoulder blades open. One more breath. And come back to hands and knees. All right, so maybe you're not putting any pressure on the hands or the shoulders today, so lean a little bit back if that's the case. But keep working on spinning the shoulders open. Remember that? So underneath the sides of the tips of the shoulder blades, that squeezes in. So you're squeezing your side ribs in, but the heads of the arm bones are widening out. So ribs are squeezing in right up under the armpit, sort of. but heads of the arm bones widening out. You're making a big V shape on your back. Take one arm, thread it under, and push the back of the arm into the floor. The arm that's holding you, bend its elbow a little bit. So you're just a little bit closer to the floor. That's it. The work here is pushing this hand, the back of the arm, into the floor. You can drop the shoulder down if you want. I'm not going to. This is enough of a awakening for me. I'm awakening the muscles on the back of the shoulder. More and more. Through our asana, through our poses, we're building up strength and confidence. And of course, we're increasing flexibility. Inhale. Exhale again. But you must move for there to be any energy at all. Let's go to the other side. So all we did was cross over. Remember in the beginning when I did this? It's the same thing. It's the same thing. We're taking the hand, pushing it into the floor, bending the supporting elbow, maybe a little bit closer to the floor, and then pushing the arm that's crossed into the floor hard. That activates the muscles. Activating the muscles is what helps energy. Energy means like the food that you ate and then you convert it into chemicals that have to get into the cell so the cell can reproduce and all the things a cell does. But for that to happen, the muscles have to move. Age is not the problem. You need to have a strong willpower to practice. In the words of BKS Iyengar, age is not the problem. You need to have strong willpower to practice. That's what he said. Another breath here. Then come back into hands and knees. So I'm going to suggest coming through downward dog. No pressure on your arms means don't do downward dog. So I might kind of crouch and keep all my weight into my legs. I can do that. You can't do that. Come more to a standing forward fold. If it's a good day for downward dog today, press through the fingers and press through the paws of the feet and the hands. Remember the spinning the head, the arm bone and the shoulder blade out, but pinching the tip of the shoulder blade in. That's subtle. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that's okay. All I want you to do today is to become a smoothly flowing river that irrigates the soil, the land, that nurtures all parts of you. So not just the physical body. We're starting with the physical body. Remember those layers. And we're using the energy layer to clarify and purify. Take steps forward, widen your feet. I'm going to go a little bit wider than the mat today. And then hang the upper body. So we're starting with the inversions. We're going upside down. When we go upside down, probably the first thing that you notice is that your hamstrings are tight. Okay. But the next thing I want you to notice is that, that you're upside down. Your head and your heart have changed position. And that heart that was pumping with such 3-meter force, out, is now shooting up into your head. That's not good. That's not good. We don't want a flood of blood in the head. So what happens is the arteries and the veins, they all make adjustments, and there's valves and little doors in there that make adjustments to bring the pressure back down where it should be. That turns out to be a good thing. The ability for the body to regulate the pressures, blood pressure being one of them. That's a good thing. 2 more slow breaths. Maybe today it's a day for you to relieve the pressure on your neck. Then walk your feet closer together. Bend both knees. Walk your hands to your knees and push your hips back. So come halfway up and kind of hold, like you're sitting in kind of a high stool. Give that 2 breaths. Now begin working on scooping the belly in, the lower part of the belly, up in.
Are you here right now? No, not
okay. And then roll all the way up. Let's see.
Oh, no.
Let's
That's
take the
fine.
arms out, spin them
Oh,
open,
I'm
and then extend the spine up and back.
it's just a Zoom and I'm on mute.
So I'm in a little bit of an extension here. Pull the belly in, lift the low back up into the mid back, and then spin the shoulders onto the back.
Did you have a good weekend?
Two more breaths. 2. Oh, that feels so good. And then release that. So we'll step one foot forward, angle the other leg back. With your hands on the sides of the hip, tip the pelvis forward, back up. Then turn your hips to the side, to the long end, and back to front. Now I want to try that again, but this time I want you to focus on not moving your legs at all. So your legs aren't going to spin in their sockets. Tip the pelvis forward, and then rock it back up. Now this is the hard one. Turn the hips to the side. Yes, the leg and the hip are going to change their relationship, but the knee's not going to twist inward. And then back to, I'll call this the front, where my front foot is. Tip forward. Squeeze the abdominals to come back up. Turn hips to the side. You should feel that opening up. And that inner thigh there. Turn back to the front. Now from here, tip forward and hang forward. So there's that inversion again. I'm going to grab these blocks so my hands have something to put my hands onto. This front knee, you figure out, right? You have to experience this. Does this knee bend or does it need to be straight today? How does that chain affect my shoulders and my neck, my low back and my hips? Remember, yoga must be experienced. That's not something I can teach you because words and even my descriptions, as good as the little picture of, I'm a little teapot, that fails yoga. Inversions change pressure and they change how the mind interacts with the body. So energy at a very fundamental level is electricity. Change in pressure. 2 slow breaths. Now do bend this front knee. You have to spin the back leg so that the leg is straight again. And then if you have these blocks, crawl them forward. Then hop forward so that you're balancing on this front leg. See if you can do that. Press down into the floor. Try not to press too hard with your arms. Make your legs do the work here. And then try balancing. So just try tipping forward and lifting this back foot up. And see if you can straighten. You don't have to straighten the leg. You don't have to do anything. But try to make your legs align. And alignment just means that energy can flow through. That your mind can become a bright light shining through all parts of your body. So not just the naggy, achy, painful, whatever word you want to use, parts, but where's breath flow well? Come back down slowly. Land that back foot. Then come up into warrior one. So spin the back leg a bit. Sink the hips down. Reach the arms forward. But pull the shoulder blades back. So nice and strong warrior one. All right, let's hold this. I want you to practice what I just said. Breathe into all the parts. So there's the parts of your body right now. They're stiff and tight and whatever. Breathe into those parts. So may I be blessed, right? May you be blessed. May all beings everywhere be blessed. So it's not just one or the other. We want to get the energy flowing, not just in me even, but from me to you, for example. From the earth back to me. All of those circuits, they're all interconnected. And then release the arms down. Let's go to the other leg. So you can switch legs or you can turn your body to the other direction, either way. Same thing, hands on the handles of the waist, of the hips. Rock the pelvis forward and then back up. With the legs staying pretty neutral, turn just the hips to the side. So that's a hard turn there. And then back to front. Scoop the belly in, so contract up into the navel. Tip forward and back up. Turn side and back to front. Tip and back up. You're doing it. Keep the spine mostly straight. Turn or twist and back to front. So now we just come to an inversion, a forward fold over the leg. Hang. Hang the head. Breathe the shoulders. Inversions calm, but they also stimulate. They calm the nervous system, but they stimulate the glands. That's really a big deal. When you think about it, your nervous system is always on high alert. If you're like most of us, you're paying attention and there's a lot to worry about. So it gives that nervous system a moment because it gets your attention. Inversions own your attention. Something's weird here. But it stimulates your glands, your hormonal system. 2 more slow breaths. Now bend this front knee. Take a little hop forward so that you're on this front leg. So imagine that 90% of your body weight is just this one leg now, right? Hands are mostly irrelevant. Then balance your body weight, your center of gravity over this leg. Maybe lift the back leg. Maybe rise all the way up into Warrior 3. I don't know where you are today. You have to experience and fully brighten your own light. Remember, the light's not just one little pin light. It's all the radiating, rays of light going in every direction. Keep trying to balance. You can stay holding on. That's not worse. In fact, it might be harder. Smoothly flow the river. Good, then come down. So land the back leg safely, softly. Spin the leg out, right? So the edge of the foot pressing down. Then rise up into Warrior 1. Sit down and strengthen. Strengthen the connection of all the rivers. So just like the metaphor of the rivers, some rivers are kind of trickly and, really low, and some are really big and raging. Connect them all. There's no dry spots. I love this fact that oxygen is a really light gas and hydrogen is a really light gas, but when they combine to make water, they're a really heavy liquid, right? So feel that there's all of that. There's oxygen in your body and there's hydrogen. There's also water, and it's all the same thing. It's just how the molecules are interacting, the bonds, the electrical bonds between them. There's your chemistry for today. 2 more slow breaths. You're really becoming more strong, more confident, but also more flexible. Then step forward. We're going to come back into that chair. So legs are parallel, hips are back, shoulders pulled down and back, arms radiating forward. Give that 3 breaths. So I wanted to put in chair pose today, kind of to be a little bit funny, that you shouldn't stay in a chair too long. So I thought it'd be a little funny to hold you in a chair pose a little bit too long, so you would remember that don't stay in chair too long because blood doesn't get down and back. All right, I'm going to come back down to the floor. One way is through downward dog. Another way is through a low lunge. When you come down, make your way around to a seated pose. Bring your feet to the floor. I'm telling you what to do because I know you're going faster than I am. Spin your hands around behind you and then push your chest forward. So use your hands, kind of coil up the energy in your hands to push the chest forward. If the legs want to fall out of the way, a lot of people like that better. Do that. But push the chest forward. 3. Exhale. And then release. So let's set up the blankets here. It's a little bit complicated, so I'm going to take an extra 20 seconds here to figure it out. So one blanket is going to be, I don't know, 2 by 3, 1 by 2. Is that what it is? And that one's going to go under your shoulders. My head's going to be off it. The other one's going to be rolled up a little thicker. So this is like 1 by 6 inches, but it's thick. So it's more like a thicker thing. So the point is you have something thick and heavy here, that's your hips, and something a little bit longer and a little bit thinner here. So that when I get on it, I sit on the big, thick, heavy thing and then roll onto that thinner thing. And then my shoulders, this is the only thing that's really important, my shoulders and my head are on the floor. So it's almost like a wedge. The hips, 5 inches, down to like 2 inches, down to no inches. That's the way to think of it. Only thing that matters is that wherever you are, you feel like supported. How you folded your blankets and refolded your blankets. This blanket, this one under my hips, is what they call a Mexican blanket. It's kind of hard, and so it doesn't squish down very much. So it's really quite useful for this. The one under my back is a regular, blanket that's all soft. So shoulders are sort of off. That's all that matters here. Wherever your legs want to be, if they want to be long, if that feels good, as long as that doesn't bother your back, my feet are telling me stay on the floor. Let the arms spin open. I'm going to take my hair. I have these things in my hair, and that hurts kind of, so I'm going to take that out so that the back of my head is on the floor. Now kind of wiggle so a little bit more of your shoulder blades are off. Not your entire shoulder blade, maybe half at most. Then, if you can, do lift your legs. Now, I should have told you this before you set this up. Optimally, you have the wall or the chair, and you could lean your legs on a wall or a chair. Optimally, that would be best. I should have told you that. This is called legs up the wall. And we talked about how the blood goes down to the feet and doesn't come back and needs extra help. But at the end of the day, after you've been standing and walking and working, blood kind of pools and it gets into your ankles and your feet. And that process of getting back up through the veins and those valves just doesn't work as well. And things like muscles and fat get in the way and clothing. So this pose is really for the end of the day. Ultimately, it would be perfect if you had your legs like up on the wall, up on a chair, just something. Maybe you have somebody standing there holding them so you don't have to work so hard. But even if you're not, even if you're just on this, I want you to kind of close your eyes so you can see the slide. From your feet up through your legs, blood will make that turn around your hips, up through your back, and then into your neck, shoulders, and your head. So we're technically inverted again because the head's a little below the heart. That's the definition. Let's give this 3 or 4 breaths. I'm going to suggest you draw your legs in towards your head, right? So they're just, and then sort of use your arms to push down to lift your hips a little bit. Just a little bit, just a little bit. This is going to just do a little bit of this weird arching or flexing in your middle upper back. This is as close as I get to shoulder stand or plow pose if you're A yoga fan, you may wonder where those poses are. They come after this prep for it. But their purpose is the same, to invert the body, to stimulate the glands in your neck. They have a lot to do with metabolism. And there's glands in your head that have a lot to do with energy and heat regulation and light regulation. 2 more breaths. Being upside down feels weird. And then come down. So maybe roll off your blankets. You might really like some version of the blankets, so maybe just leave. I'm just gonna leave this big blanket. I like that one. Under my hips, my sacrum, and come down into Shavasana. Come all the way down. It's a little high. Any way that you take Shavasana. So after that long lecture about not being still, I want you to now be still. Inhale deeply, expand the ribs, let it go. For a moment, just watch the rivers of the body irrigate the body. That the more you let go, that light, the light of oxygen and energy, combines with the tissues of the body in little bursts, little star lights, illuminating life. The more you let go, the more smoothly life flows, until more and more you are full of an energy or a light that penetrates, permeates, and radiates through, around, and from you. In your time, begin to roll to your side. Slowly now open your eyes. Press up off the floor. Come back up. Find your chair, your seat. Align, right? That magical, mystical, open feeling. Bring the palms together. Touch the thumbs to the heart. Just inhale, exhale once or twice to reestablish openness and the flow all the way to every tissue of the body. Then open your eyes. Inhale, circle up. Maybe don't lift all the way up overhead. Just breathe it all in. Exhale, scoop it all together. Offer it up into your own heart. May I be blessed. May you be blessed. May all beings everywhere be blessed. Namaste.